This is Internet Personality Vangelus here with a Transformers Universe review of the classic series Sunstreaker. Sunstreaker was one of the very first Transformers I ever had when I was a wee youngin' 90 years ago, and I was kind of excited to see him get redone on a small scale and not on an alternator scale where he was another toy with a new head. This is a really cool car mode. It looks a whole lot like Sideswipe, but it also looks a whole lot like Sunstreaker, because now they're really getting across that the two are brothers. Aside from that, it's got these kind of funny-looking ridges on the ceiling. It's got yellow. It's kind of yellow all around. There's also some yellow along here, and yellow on the back as well. He's also got yellow beneath this thing, which you can actually just remove before you transform it, and yellow ridges here, along with some yellow above the bumper, and some gray. Aside from that, he rolls. It's a car, people. There's nothing else to say. He's got translucent windows, I believe. It's just that, again, it's really dark, as many of the translucent windows are right now, which adds to the realism, I suppose, but it also adds to the whole why bother making it translucent in the first place, in my opinion anyway. His transformation is fairly involved and fairly alternators-esque, actually, from the waist down. He's also got a gun under there. The fact you have to remove two parts to transform him does kind of irk me, only because I'm absolutely spoiled by animated in the movie toys at this point. So it felt like a bit of a step back, but there you go. Oh, by the way, vanity plate, we are 84. That wouldn't get you rear-ended. No, sir. No, sir, at all. The order on how you transform him, and this is kind of the same on Prowl, actually, is a little unclear. I've found that just yanking on parts until they come apart works, and nothing's broken. So, if you break your toys, however, just remember that Vangelus is completely not responsible for your actions, and if you listen to anything that I tell you to do, well, that's really an acceptable loss, isn't it? Isn't it? I'm only kidding. I know everything. His feet come out in a pretty neat way. You have to be really specific, though, on how you fold the things around, or they'll pop right off the ball joints. And the legs are really nice. The only problem is they're completely hollow in the shins. But if you can ignore that and ignore the kind of wonky unlocked kneecap things, then it's not bad. From the waist up, you get to yank on stuff some more. Everything comes out on frames, and it all starts swiveling around. There's a whole ton of little niggling detail bits you have to do this that you have to do in somewhat certain orders, actually. And in that sense, it also feels a little bit like a step back, but only because I've gotten so used to the movie and animated engineering where these kind of tricky maneuvers are kind of done for you by the toy's engineering. One nice little touch, though, in terms of how thoughtful this design is you have to fold this up, because it makes room for all this stuff. So, I do like that. The arms you do have to position very specifically, though, and they have to be folded along this axis on the axis like this, and then, if you get that right, though, or you've just done it as many times as I have wrong until you got it right, then you just fold this over and clip it together, then you straighten up his arms. Now, his windshields, you're supposed to rotate up like this and then press in, but they don't really come out much either, so it's mostly a case of make sure you swivel them up so he doesn't have them hanging off of his wrists. His hands, you want to make sure, are pointed the right way. I'm saying you wanna, because I know exactly what you want. And then something interesting that came up in the designer notes for these toys is that a lot of kids nowadays seem to be thinking the anime way. This is a part of anime I don't mind, though, which is that the head reveal is kind of like when the robot comes to life. So classics has been kind of designed around dynamic head reveals, and this guy has a pretty cool one. You swivel this, and then, padoom! His ears expand, and his head rises up. It's a very nice Sunstreaker head. It's very much like the G1 toy, which actually is why I don't like it as much as I would have if it was sculpted a little more homicidal looking, because I like his recent characterizations in both Dreamwave and IDW, where he's not so much, happy vain, he's sociopathically and homicidally vain. And so, I was hoping that he wouldn't be smirking, but there you go. He's quite poseable, and thanks in part to his hollow legs, he can assume really wild, wide-legged, I'm gonna shoot someone and lose my arm because it's not really pegged on there all that hard, kind of poses. He's got a really decent ball-jointed neck for some characterful, head bobbing. And the ankle joints down here really let you go crazy with how far you angle the legs. Double-jointed elbows let you do all kinds of the weird thing that a lot of robots seem to do, which is hold their gun up like this. And he's pretty much as poseable as you'd need him to be. Posability-wise, I'm not disappointed. It's a weird thing, though, about these classics, more notably the Universe classics. They look really nice. They're really well done. Except, for some reason, I don't feel quite as excited about them. I mean, this guy does everything that you need him to do, but I think it's just because the, not so much the movie toys, but animated, has been so loaded with character in every sculpt. It's made me feel that these feel kind of bland. To me. That's a really minor nitpick, but it's been something that's been bugging me about these toys for a while. Also, there's a really obvious design difference between these classics and the classics that came out before the movie line, which were a lot more like the Cybertron toys. These guys are a little more movie-like. Now, is that a bad thing? No. Is that a good thing? It is if you like movie toys. It does make them look kind of noticeably different than the first run of classics, though, so putting them all up on the shelf can look a little odd, especially because these guys tend to be taller than all the other toys. By the way, Sunstreaker is going to be Sideswipe as well. What's he going to look like as Sideswipe? He's going to look like this. Because this toy is able to transform into 2 different robot modes, and I think that's really impressive. He's going to look better than this. They call me Sunstreaker. I can walk sideways. It's going to be a pretty cool little idea. They just swap his fists around. They give him a different head with a different dynamic head reveal to come up out of the chest here. I think it's a great idea for the Sunstreaker Sideswipe brother thing to give them similar bodies that have different way of transforming while being the same internal skeleton kind of thing. Well, pretty much the same body, to completely nullify everything I just said. But, yes, Sunstreaker. Would I recommend him? I would, because of all the Classics Deluxes, this guy has been the most solid. There's very few flaws with him outside of the very minor parts forming and the hollow legs. He does anything you'd want a toy to do on the basic list of what can a toy do, unless, of course, you're looking for a toy fellatio, and you kind of could with the hull. Anyway, he's what I was hoping for out of the toy. He just left me feeling a little empty. I'm not sure why. I think it's just he doesn't feel like he has soul in him. But maybe I'm just a very embittered, wizened old internet personality who can't feel love anymore. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I would recommend this guy. Even if you're not into classics at all, this guy is, on the whole, a really nice transformer. So, go for him. If you're going to skip any of the classics, this guy would be one not to skip. Although you may want to wait till the Sideswipe version is out. You might like the aesthetics on that a little bit more, if you're not into the Sunstreaker ears. But, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in your nightmares. Oh, I bet none of you were expecting this. Not one of you. Not a single one of you was expecting this. Not one. Not a single one.